Good morning, everyone. Asha here. Looking forward to another great Sunday with y'all. Thank you so much, Melanie, for inviting me back. This morning, our series continues on being of service. And so I thought I would love to share with you a little bit about my experience and my beliefs around being of service in terms of some alternative spirituality. I don't know if any of you have ever heard the term Chiron or have any idea what Chiron is, but in astrology, Chiron is your greatest wounding, and it will show up in whatever house where you have your greatest wounding and your biggest challenges and your biggest opportunities to heal that part of yourself. Now, I am not an astrology buff by a long shot. I'm not really huge on it, but I do remember then when it was shared with me about Chiron, and I was looking at my chart with someone, it for some reason just stuck in my head and it never left. And as my life unfolded and I began to see certain patterns and realize traumatic experiences that I had had when I was younger, I began to see perhaps where my Chiron was, which is usually in areas where you will end up feeling low self-esteem, inadequate, less than, really big challenges that you have to dig really deep to overcome. So what does Chiron have to do with being of service? Well, let's start with the concept that if spirituality is being aware of and focused on the spirit or the soul as opposed to physical and material, then Chiron is actually an opportunity to heal not just a moment in this life, but at a deeper core essence level, a soul level. And for those of you who may be open to the concept or the idea that perhaps we have more than one life, perhaps there is this multiverse and that we maybe have many lives or many versions of our lives, who knows? You know, science just keeps expanding and showing us more and more possibility. And there is actually scientific discussion about whether a multiverse exists or not. And it is highly probable. So with that said, that gets the wheels turning, right? So let's turn Chiron back around and say that this is not just a moment of expression or a moment of healing in this life. This is really your soul's work in this life, your spiritual work in this life. And because it is spiritual work and you really have to dig in and apply principles and look deep within yourself to find yourself, right? To thine own self be true, to know thyself, all of these old teachings focus on that. And so when we dig deeper and we go deep and we really look at who we are, partly by understanding who we are not, and all of the things that are required to heal whatever this great wounding is, that's how you can really fulfill your own soul expression. And in doing so, anyone who does dig in at that level has an amazing offering that is available to the world. Your Chiron is your wounded healer. And if you can overcome that in your life, you have an opportunity to be of service in a huge way to others for multiple reasons. You have experience from your own wounding. It could be in this life, it could be in many lives, depending on what kind of work you do and what your beliefs are. It could be talent. It could be, which are natural gifts. For me, my music is one of my greatest talents and one of my greatest challenges and my hugest insecurities over time. It wasn't until very late in life when I was actually I was working on the Fiona project, and some of you know what it is, some of you don't, which was it started as a music video that came to me in a dream, and when I realized what it was focused on child sexual abuse and what the path of a survivor looks like throughout the course of their lives and the challenges that brings, and also how prevalent it is in our society and how that you can heal from it. when you learn to love yourself. So all of that ties together. And so just for me as an experience, and you'll all have your own Chiron, you'll have your own deepest wound, your own opportunity also with that wound to dig deep, heal, and shine. And so my gift has been, it started with the music video, and I used to listen to everyone else who would say, well, you need to do this, and you need to change your lyrics, and you don't have a hook, and you have to this, and it sounds, and I would listen to all of their critique. In fact, I am the music director of One World, but I would be the person who was always second, never chosen first, wouldn't win the part, didn't win the awards. And when I did win the awards, it was always overshadowed in some way by someone else or something else. So I have this history of not being seen in my own arena, which I know now is really part of my gifts. And so again, that's another example of Chiron, the child sexual abuse stuff. My history was something that I wasn't even aware of for most of my life. But when I finally accepted that something had happened to me, and I dug really deep because I had struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts and all kinds of just drama, bad relationships, abusive relationships over and over and over and over. And I struggled with all of that until I started understanding, hey, wait a minute, something happened. And really digging into that and embracing that and accepting it and working on it. And when I did, I began to heal. And now when I go out and I'm invited to do panels or talks or participate in, local summits, stuff like that, the greatest gift is when someone will come up to me and say, wow, I love your energy when you spoke about this. And you smiled and you laughed. And I don't know how you did that, but I want that. When you heal your Chiron, and it's a process. I'm not saying, oh, I'm healed. It's a process. You're always digging and evolving and working. And even when it gets easier, there are little things here and there that are going to continue to expand yourself, your breath, your essence. You burn brighter, you dig deeper, you become more full. And isn't that what a spiritual experience is about? And when you take that into the world, you offer that to others. And if they've especially been touched by the same things that you have been touched by, what happens is then they see a model of someone who's doing well, someone who's on the other side, someone who gives them hope, maybe somebody who inspires them, someone who maybe gives them a glimpse of being seen, especially in hidden things like the child sexual abuse, addiction, alcoholism. A lot of the things that we are our greatest challenges, our wounds, tend to be things that society is not so keen on and doesn't really want to talk about much. They like to push it to the side and let somebody else deal with it. And when you can step up and say, I've been through this eating disorder, I've been through this abuse, whatever it was, and you're showing up as a mostly whole and healthy person and a good role model, it gives others the belief and hope that they can get to the other side as well, and that it's okay for them to speak up. Another great example, this is a tiny little thing, but y'all know, or some of you know, that, I have this Totally Witchin' podcast that I'm working on, and I do psychic healing and all that sort of stuff. But when I first was out and about, and I would do some normal business networking meetings, things like that, and I would start talking about these things, just like the child sexual abuse, you'd be amazed. People would come up to me and they'd ask me questions, or they'd say, I had this experience. And they would share with me things that they would never talk to anybody else about. Why? Because it's taboo. In some circles still, especially with more conservative religious beliefs and whatnot, those out-of-body experiences or psychic experiences or really psychic healing, anything like that, really way out new agey. People that have a more conservative life, conservative friends, and can old-fashioned religion don't talk about that stuff, because some of them even believe that it's against God. Now, personally, that doesn't fit into my picture in any place, in any way. It's a gift. So I don't see it that way. Even the evangelicals, my grandmother was an evangelical, and my mother is very up into that stuff. And, you know, my grandmother, they totally believe in healers. They just have a different spin on it, in that they, you know, they feel like you have to come through this vein and say this and be anointed or whatever. But it's really, let's be honest, it's no different. It's a gift. It's a God-given gift, a cosmic gift, call it what you want. And it's the same stuff packaged differently. So when I come out and people know me and they say, oh, well, she's not too crazy. She's pretty normal. She's pretty down to earth. She does business stuff and she doesn't seem like a devil worshiper or something. Then they're like, okay, well, so maybe I can just broach the subject here. Maybe I can just have this moment and just ask this little thing. And it gives people legs. It gives them legs that they didn't have. And then before you know it, people are talking about it more openly. And then you'll see people, I know a gal, you know, she really stepped into owning her own gifts. And that, I'd like to believe that I was part of helping her to do that, because I was unashamed and unwilling to be quiet. And I just put it out there on the table. And I think that that makes a huge difference for a lot of people. If you can just show up, be who you are fully. What's the song that I wrote? I love it. It's called You're Witchy and I Like It. And at the end, it says, don't deny it. You're witchy. It's in your soul. Don't deny it. And I think that that is really probably the essence of this lesson. So again, when you come back, when I say lesson, the cosmic lesson, right? Be yourself. Be authentic. Embrace the gifts that you've been given. And know that they don't have to be perfect. You don't have to show up perfect. My music is not perfect. But if it helps me, it's going to help somebody else. If I write a song that makes me cry, that's my sign from the universe that hey, there's something here. And if it helps me, I'm not the only one that has those feelings or has those doubts or has those insecurities. I know a song from Maura O'Connell. It was called I Would Be Stronger Than That. And it was about domestic abuse. And the woman is singing about her friend who is in a bad relationship. And you know, words become weapons and turn into pain, and how it gets worse and worse, and her friend can't leave. And she says, I would be stronger than that. And I remember listening to that song when I was getting divorced. It still brings tears to my eyes, over and over and over, because those were words that I needed. And so in the I forget who actually wrote that song. I can't think of it. But in hearing this other woman share and express that, it was healing for me. It allowed me to access something that I could not necessarily fully process and embrace on my own without that external input. So when you turn around, now maybe that's not her greatest wounding, but that's definitely her talent, her gift. And her talent is her music. She's fantastic. If you like anything that's kind of Celtic folk sort of stuff, it's not strong Celtic, but it's kind of up in that vein. Her name is Maura O'Connell, and I just think she's a fantastic artist. So in any case, I'm gonna keep this nice and short and sweet today, but I just wanted to share that being of service, we think of as going out and doing a food drive, or going out and working at a kitchen, you know, or a homeless shelter, or whatever it is that we do. Maybe even helping a friend. You know, Paul and I got a call one day from somebody from One World who said, you know, there's this gal and she's in trouble and she needs to get out of her house. And for some reason, you just popped into my head. This goes back to Melanie's talk a couple of weeks ago when she said it could be that tiny little thing that you don't even know is significant and you just follow through. And for some reason, I felt like we needed to go. And so I went, and Paul then tagged along with me and went. And when we got there, this woman was in a definite emotional abuse, domestic violence situation. and wasn't really fully understanding what she was into, although she did get the basic concept. And her husband was there that day. And when he showed up and we were helping her move her, we don't know this woman at all, but we felt like we had to do it. So yay, we showed up to move stuff. And when we got there and he showed up, we knew we were the right people because we could see exactly what was going on. We knew what she was dealing with. I watched him intentionally intimidate and manipulate her, and we could step in and help redirect and also be that middle voice. And so again, being of service could be a small act or what seemed like it was going to be a one-time thing that can change somebody's life. But see, that's my gift. Again, my gift is working with people that have been in abusive situations, and Paul's gift as well. And Paul's my partner. Sorry, I didn't say that. Not everybody knows us. So, and then also working with the abuse from the Fiona Project and the child sexual abuse. It's all the same themes over and over and over. So that was a lot of personal stories just to say that when you are of service and you work on yourself first and work on your own Chiron, your own deepest wounding, your own challenges, and you really dig in, and then you turn that around and you share it with others, the amount of impact that you can make is huge, and it will heal you even more deeply as well. Service work is a known, I won't say cure, is a known path to helping to reduce and eliminate depression. People who do service work tend to be able to get out of depression more easily. And part of it is probably because you're focused on something other than your own problems. But again, so service work is a vehicle for healing for you and a vehicle for healing for others, because it's like this big, you've probably heard, you have to have an energy exchange when you do things. There's ebb and flow, give and take, the infinite sign, the whole energy flow of the universe is give and take, ebb and flow. And so when I give out my gifts or my energy in alignment, particularly with my Chiron and my healing of my Chiron, then it helps others. And then that, of course, comes back to me and lifts me up and even invites me deeper into my own healing, because sometimes I even have to do more work and dig in deeper and see the parts that still aren't quite right because somebody else is having a challenge and I'm at a place that's just a little ahead of them on their path. And I can dig in and see if there are any tools that I have that can assist. So that's my shebang about Chiron. If you're curious about it, I will provide a link that they can put in the blog, and you can read more about Chiron and astrology and what that is and ponder what that might be for you. Most people probably know what it is by the time they're well into adulthood. And then maybe, who knows, you might want to explore ways to share your healing with others. You never know. It could be life-changing for you and for them. Have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for having me on again, and I will hopefully talk with you again soon. Blessed be.